In the previous episode, we solved the iron problem by repurposing this building behind me and fitting in a brand new iron farm, which you can also see has been performing like mad. And in this episode, we're going to address another quite frequently mentioned comment, which concerns these, maybe this one, potentially these two, and all the other unmentioned storage drawers. And that suggestion: a central storage system for all our items. But instead of building it right here, which is somewhat central, we're going to be building it up there, which is a little bit more central. So the general thought is to build the storage area in this area. Well, not this entire area. Let's say this area like this line, if you want to. And that way it will link between what's happening down here and the skyscrapers at the top that we're going to get to eventually. But before we can do that, we need to gather up quite a few blocks, and the first one we're going to need is some moss. I need to see if we can maybe use the moss and some bone meal on one of the end islands, and then we need to craft a whole bunch of stuff and ingredients and so forth that we're going to need for this build. So I got my 1 block of moss and the bone meal, and while we fly out, I'm just gonna have a little talk quickly, because I don't know if you noticed, my voice sounds a little bit different, and that's because I actually have some form of flu or throat or lung thing going. So I am a little bit ill. Ooh, I nearly coughed there. So this is not going to be a very long video. It's not going to be a very talky one, because I don't know how long I can keep this up, and I just didn't want to leave you guys without a video. So do keep that in mind if the video seems short and cut off at a certain point. But yeah, let's land over here and see if we can convert this, because I actually don't know if this is going to work. It does. Okay, so we're going to spend some time over here just grabbing a bunch of moss. I'm going to make sure I get more than I need. That way we have a little bit of a supply until we can build our little moss farm. So yeah, let me get to mossing, I guess. And just like that, we filled up our inventory and also a few stacks in our backpack as well. And now we need to fly home and hope we make it, because my backpack didn't have food in and I'm hungry. So, okay, so there was a little audio mute there because I had to cough. So let's see if we can get back to base and get some of the basic items together so we can build this new storage system. And I'm quite excited. I did a little wool build in creative, and I know what I want to do and where I want to do it. So yeah, let's land, let's empty, let's eat and grab a few resources, and I'll be right back. So let's craft some resources that we're going to need for this little build, starting off with the building blocks. So first things first, we're going to need a bunch of stone bricks. So I'm just going to craft a ton of those. And then these we're going to use in their raw form to an extent, but also then use them as the mossy variant. So that's why we're going to need quite a chunk of those. And then we're also going to use normal cobble and mossy cobble, that's the other word, and just normal stone in general. So I think that should be enough. So now we can just go ahead and do this. So I'm going to craft up all of these and change them into the different variants we're going to need. And then I'll bring you guys back once we're ready to craft the next batch of items. Okay, so we got all our blocks in, and I do think this should be more than enough. But the next thing we need to do is drawers. We're going to need quite a bunch of drawers. So we've got 1 by 1. So let's craft maybe another stack of those. Let's craft 2 stacks, but I'm only going to keep 1 stack in my inventory. That's perfect. And then also the 4 by 4s. Yeah, let's do 1 stack of those. And we do... Oh, you get a lot extra. Anyway, so okay, we do have a lot extra of those, which is then done. And then we're going to need some threshold switches and links. So let's craft a stack of redstone links, and that gives 2 each, which is perfect. And then the threshold switches, Let's start with a stack of those as well. So this should be everything we need to attempt this storage room build. We're going to keep those in there for now. I've got the dirt that we're going to use to tower up, and then also I got all the blocks that we're going to use to build this. And I do think, yeah, I do still have some magic wands, so I'm going to head up and then we can start marking out the area. So I want to use this little space we have over here because we're going to sooner or later have to move this elevator up a little bit more to the next level. So what better space than to build it right in this position and enclose the elevator in its new little structure, but also use this structure to get up to top and to expand into our storage area. So I'm going to make it exactly the same size like this, and then I think we can expand one to the back, and I want to go up 29 blocks. So we've got one over here already. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 26, 27, 28, 29. So this is 29 blocks, and this will be the level on which we build the floor. And I'm just going to do this because this marks a corner and the floor is going to be from here stretching that way. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way over, and it should line up with the front of this elevator. So right about here, I guess. Yeah, that seems right. If we go into free cam, we go straight down. That's perfect. So it's going to line up over here, and exactly this part is where we're going to build our little floor for the storage room. And to do that, we're going to make use of our magic wand, but we first need to sort out our inventory, and we're just going to move these down by 1 block each. And this is the ratio in which we want it to randomize. So if we hold down shift and control right click, we can say restrictions left and right. We want to do replacement. Yeah, sure, that's more for grass and stuff like that. Match similar, we're just going to say match any at the moment, and we're going to say random. And then if we go out over here, it should give us a little line like that and that. And now it's fine, but as soon as we're going to do this, it's going to try and go to the side. So we're going to do one like that, but then we're just going to remove this block over here by block, and this block over here by block. And now we can actually just continue building this. This should now work out. Well, we first need to move this back, but this should work out, and we just need to run it all the way to the other side. Okay, so the floor's in, and I did a little bit of blocking out, and the reason for this is I just need to think about height and stuff like that, because we don't want it to be too low and it feels cramped in. But I also need to think of this elevator is going to stop. We need to do like a staircase going up to a walkway, I think, because the idea with this is I want this to be hidden and underground, and that's why I opted for this block, because I almost want it to be somewhat of a sewer type system. Because remember, on this area we're going to have a lot of commercial buildings, some housing and stuff like that. So if this is the sewer area, then it's going to be hidden and it's going to be damp and all of those things, and that's the reason for that. So we'll have this all hidden away, and this will be our storage system, and it will be feeding in all the way from down there when we connect it with the trims. But for now, I think we just need to look at where everything's gonna go in this area. And to get things started, we're just gonna use the normal dirt blocks, and I think what we need to do is we need to stay away from this edge. So the idea is that we have the actual, I don't want to call it a bridge, but let's call it a bridge for argument's sake, will be at this level, and then we'll have like a little inner wall for detail, and then the drawers can technically start on this level. But because we need to insert redstone links, threshold switches, and then the drawers, we're going to maybe do something like this instead. So we'll only have the drawers start over here, which I don't really mind. And then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can do drawers on this side as well. And the reason why I have drawers on this side and they don't have threshold switches is because I want to do the little smaller drawers on this side, and I want to add all the random things we have like fences and stuff like that just clogs up our inventory that we never use or randomly use or seldom use, and we can put them in here if we don't use them, and we can come fetch them if we have to. So I might not do all of the drawers yet. I might only do like one section and start out with that, and we continue from there on. But for now we need to plan this. So if this is 1, let's do I think 7. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3 high, so this will technically come out, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we'll do a 3 gap, and then we'll do that again. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's all going to be 3 high, 3 high, and I think we should be able to fit in 4 of those. Okay, let me quickly get them in, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so I got everything in, and I do think this configuration works. We'll discuss this side just now, but on this side we've got 3 panels of 3x7, and I think that's more than enough. And here at the very end we've only got a 3x5, and I was thinking, yeah, we could do all the valuable ores and stuff like iron, zinc, and stuff like that, which is not typically what you have over there, and it puts them separate, so I don't really mind that. And then on this side, well, this side's a bit different, because I was thinking, what if we do these like this and we leave a little 2 gap over here, and then we can place all our different crafting benches and stuff that we, I know, just recently made a home for in the little workshop down there, and we move them into this area and we put them underneath. So that way we can maybe have all the different glass stuff that we've been crafting using the crafting benches in this area. We have the little glass crafting table, we can have the stone one, we can have the wood one, and whatever, and we can even double up, so we make it half and half, so it actually looks like this instead. And I think that could really work. So now that we have that, we can actually go ahead and add our different drawers, and I do believe we can just do this, and we might be able to actually use the wand for this, I do think. Yeah, let's quickly see. Let's do up and down. Oh, we need to say don't do random. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so that's gonna work, and I think this drawer color will be the correct one. So we can now just go ahead and replace all of these with the different drawers, and I think it's gonna look really awesome if we have all of these in and everything. And for now it's gonna be open and exposed and everything, but that's not the way it's gonna stay. We will close this up, like I mentioned, in some form of a bridge or something. But then the next thing we need to do is grab our little create backpack, and we're gonna do these threshold switches, and we're going to do the redstone links. And I think for now we're just going to place all of them down. We're going to give every single one of these, and this is just so that if we start automating the items in these drawers, we can already have the little link and everything set up, so we can come back here, we can just click it, change it, and instantly make sure that things turn off once they are filled up, because this way we have everything in place. We don't have to worry about crafting them in the future, and it makes it easier to control, and all of that will be hidden away behind some form of wall, so you won't see that like you see them now. But anyway, we're not going to do that on this side. This is just going to be mine items, so I'm going to go ahead, finish all of this off, and then we can look at the next part to this build. Okay, so we have all the threshold switches and all the redstone links in here. Obviously we're going to have to remove some of these drawers when we bring the full ones up, but for now this is working. And you'll also notice that I have some temporary little trims connected to these drawers, and we replaced some of the flooring with trims as well and connected it up all the way to the side to a storage drawer. And this is just to test if it's working. So we currently have a drawer key, so if we right click, all of these appear to be locked, which is fantastic news. Yeah, they're all locked. And now if we shift right click again, we can just quantify, and now we'll be able to see which items are in the drawers and how many items there are in the drawers. So this is technically working, and the last thing we need to do now is just connect this up to the system down there, and I was thinking we did expand this, so technically this should be the edge, so the inside should be one of those. So this is a trim, and this is technically going to be wall, so we might as well just rip this one out because it's going to be replaced with wall anyway. So this trim will be a temporary little one, where if we go all the way from here all the way to the top, we can just connect this up, and then once this reaches the top, we can just go down and connect it to the bottom. And if we just hop on into FreeCam, we can see we can go straight through this cave, we can go all the way down, and then we need to decide where's the closest trim. We've got one over there, we've got one over there, but I'm kind of thinking that this one right here by the iron farm might be the closest. If we just run it this way and then just this way and then just go all the way up. Yeah, that might be the closest one. So I'm going to do that, connect it all up, and then we can see if we can make this contraption work. Okay, so connected it up, and I'm just running through to make sure that nothing popped into any of these drawers, and nothing has. And then if we go over here and we look at this, it should tell us what's in the system. Yeah, it's connected up. So everything on this side is working, which I'm pretty happy about. And now the big thing is, can we replace some of these drawers with some of the drawers down there? And then also important to note, some of these will become compacting drawers, especially with the ores and stuff like the iron and stuff like that. But that's not a problem. So I think what we need to do is we need to head down and maybe pick a drawer, I think, and just test it. What I did is I turned off the cobble gen earlier, so maybe we can take the cobble drawers. Yeah, the cobble drawers, and they work on a threshold switch that is tied to this, and thus we're not going to have to activate a threshold switch on those, so we can literally just rip these out. So I do believe it's this one, and then those two, and that should be 3 cobble drawers. Let's quickly see. Yeah, there's the third one, and then we'll just fill in those with all the different items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go place these all the way up here, and once we place them, we can turn back on the cobble generator that I temporarily turned off to make sure that it's running. See, this is my weakness, because now I don't know where I want to start filling these things up. Should we do blocks at the end, but then you run up and down the whole time? Or should we do the blocks we use less on the end and the blocks we use more in the center, thus all our things are together in the center? Yeah, we're going to do that. So we're going to rip out 1, 2, 3. Let's just make sure those 3 are the cobble ones. And then we're going to do cobble, cobble, cobble. And now if we check, it does pick up how much is in there. But like mentioned, we're not going to need threshold switches on these because they calculated with the volt at the bottom, which is perfect. So it is picking up and everything. I don't think that it's going to be any use turning it on over there because these are already filled to the brim. So it will just continue filling the volt. But it's working. This is exactly what we need to do. So I need to move every single one of those drawers all the way up here, and then once they're all in place, we'll have a complete storage room. So I think what I need to do is maybe not do that now, but first look at decorating this place, because it's going to be more fun for you guys seeing what my idea is with the decoration rather than me going up and down, up and down, up and down, sorting out drawers and stuff like that. So I'm going to clear my inventory, well, the 3 things that are in my inventory, grab all the resources we're going to need, and then we're going to decorate this place. Okay, so for now, the idea for this is going to be very, very basic. We're literally going to replace, say, these blocks, and we're going to do them with the industrial iron frame trims, and then we are going to add structure to these, because I want to make it look like they're actually just standing in a sewer, and that these are more pipe work than they are actual stuff that we're going to need to keep all of these up. And the reason for pipe work, because it's a sewer, and then once we build the rest of the structure, we're going to build a bridge over it and make it look even more so. So like mentioned, for now, the idea will just be to connect these type of builds or parts together. Maybe we can bring this one a little bit further, something like that. See, it's got structure over there, it's got some structure over here, and then we can maybe do something like this. Yeah, I do like that. This might interfere with the tables. We will still be able to fit 2 in here. I might move it up 1. But for now, this is the general idea. Maybe we can do this one like that, and we can just use the wrench to activate that block. And then this one, we can have a table on this side, and we can do that. Rip out this again. And I just wanted to feel a little bit more organic. So this one we'll keep like that, and we'll rather do something maybe like this again. And then this one can be very short. It can just literally be this. And then maybe we can do... Yeah, let's do that. I do like that. Now we've got one lower down as well. So I wanted to look something like this, and then once we have the wall and everything, I am considering adding a little bit of spinny bits. Not that they'll have a big function in the area like this, but it will just bring a bit of movement to this whole sewer system design and idea. I'm not really sold on the drawer being over there, and to be honest, it can be anywhere. It doesn't need to be there. It can be anywhere on the trim line. There's a trim line back there. It can be over here. It can be underneath these. So it's not a big deal. It can even like fit into one of these slots over here, and it's not going to change anything. So this might still move, but for now it's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead, rip out all of these, change all of those up, and get it all built up, and then we can have a look at this once it's completed. And I think this is the start of a pretty awesome looking storage area. I did manage to move up the workbenches, the backpacks over here. I added some crafting tables all over, added some lights, all the different crafting or workbenches. I did end up moving the drawer controller, and it's looking good. I really enjoy how all of this came together. I know I didn't move in the little drawers and everything, or these type of things, but I can't. My throat is currently killing me, and I'm gonna have to call it. I can't talk anymore, but I do think we made quite a lot of progress, and I think it looks amazing. And if we hop on into FreeCam, it's not going to look like much now. It's just going to be this floating thing, but you need to imagine a gigantic structure covering the elevator, going all the way up, and then splitting into this direction. And also, I don't think I mentioned it, but it's also going to split into that direction, connecting those two. And I want to, in the end, create a big square thing. So what you see over here will run over there, and over here. And that will create like a central quad area where you can look down onto these structures. Also want to mention, by building this, it doesn't mean that we're done with any of the builds in this area. We will get around to building those as soon as we are done with this thing. We're first going to do that, and then we'll head back down over here, because there are quite a few little farms I want to add. For example, the processing of crops and stuff like that. So yeah, between episodes, I'm going to go ahead and move all the storage areas, or all the storage containers, up to this area, with the exception of some of them. Like, for example, I'm not going to move the crops. The reason I don't want to move the crops is this is raw product, and I only want to move them once we have the finished thing. So we might only have like a little food section over here where we have like 3 or 4 meals that we prepare, but apart from that, the crop's going to stay down there, because we don't use that in everyday crafting. This is more for everyday crafting, the things we need whenever we need to run over and prepare for a build or something, because I don't mind running over there if I need to grab something from that area, because we don't do that often. Same with the mob drops. I'm not going to connect them up to this area. But with that said, I'm also not going to do a little population countdown thing. I will do that maybe in the form of a short tomorrow night or the night after. I'm not really sure after this video goes live, but maybe tomorrow I feel better and I'll just add it. But for now, I would like you guys to head on down to the comments. Let me know, what do you think of this new storage area, and do you think the idea can work? And if you have any suggestions what we can put in the new old workshop that we just fixed, let me know down in the comments as well. Maybe we can add another farm or something in there again to fill it up. But till next time, remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.